Happy with this one. This year's not exactly gone to plan for me. I didn't fish a great deal throughout the winter because I had a load of work to do on the house that I've just moved into. And then just as I was getting ready to gear up, lockdown happened. So I think I did a couple of short sessions before lockdown, and that was about it. And then when things opened up again mid-May, I'm back on it again. And I'm kind of down on I was going to say a new water, but it's not a new water at all. It's an old water, for me anyway. I used to fish here 6 years ago and held the ticket for 4 years all in all. So I've dropped it for the last 2. And I joined here for a fish called Tyson, which is a cracking big common. And I've done okay out of here. You know, I've had quite a few fish over the years I fished here. There's probably about 40 originals left, and I think I've had about 35 of them, and some of them 2, 3, even 4 times over. But Tyson always eluded me. Hopefully this time I'll be a bit more successful. Although, to start off with, I ain't done particularly well. I decided to target this sort of central section of the lake, stick out some baited areas and sit over them for a couple of nights with 2 rods and keep a third one sort of wandering around a little bit. And that's a tactic that's worked really well for me in the past, but it just hasn't been working for me. You know, I've done sort of 7 nights in that open section. And a couple of fish have been out from over there, but just not to my rods, and it's just quite frustrating because it used to work really well in the past, exactly what I was doing, but it just hasn't now. And I think the fish have got a bit more pressured and they've changed the moods a little bit. They certainly aren't having leads thrown at them like they used to in the past. So yeah, it's a bit of a change. And I was down this session for my first 3 nights of the year. Did a couple of nights in an open water spot, and the plan was to sit over the bait for all 3 nights and hopefully we'll wait for the fish to come on and hopefully get Tyson out or one of the other ones. But I did 2 nights without a touch, and the fish just seemed dotted around everywhere. And I was to be honest, I was all set to stay there another night, but I came a walk around the lake and then saw quite a few fish in the next swim down, just here, and where it narrows off quite a long, because this is like a long arm and it gets quite narrow down that bottom end. And I saw about 8 fish just milling around just on the surface, and a couple of them were decent fish. I couldn't see if any of them were Tyson or not, because there's a bit of a ripple on and a bit too far out, but there's a couple of nice fish there, and I was debating what to do, so I went around the far side behind me and climbed another tree and looked down, and I saw a fish called fairbrass that was, it did 40 this winter actually for the first time, and I thought, yeah, and there's another fish behind it as well. I just saw a tail pattern as it disappeared. I thought, there's a few fish down here, one of them may be Tyson, so let's have a go. Now, I've had fairbrass a few times before. You know, I've had it 3, maybe 4, I don't know. It's from between about 27 pounds to about 32. But like I say, this winter it's stacked the weight on. So I dropped in this swim, and I didn't want to let around. This is a new swim for the lake. You know, it's only just been dug out and built sort of last year, I think it was. Whereas previously this water was controlled by a swim up there, but the fish were more in front of this one than they were sort of that one. And I was kind of a bit worried in case somebody dropped down in the middle of the night and dropped on here and completely ruined my fishing. So I thought, I've got to drop in this one. But I didn't have any clips to where the hard spots were or where the clear spots were or anything. So I fished slightly longer rigs than what I would do normally. So I fished 12-inch rigs with a sort of semi-stiff sort of coated boom and then a little hinge stiff on the top. So the theory was if it landed in deep silt, which is quite a lot out here, or it landed in sort of lowish lying weed, the pop-up would just come to rest on top of it rather than fishing the normal shorter rigs where I normally like to fish on firm spots. So I put out the first rod, that went down okay-ish, and then got the second rod, plunged that across, and it landed right in the middle of a group of fish, and they just erupted. The surface just went crackers. There's probably 4 to 6 fish out there, and I just thought, yeah, that's my chance gone, I've ruined it, because yeah, I'm pretty sure that they just kind of meandered and went out the bay, probably went and fed on my baited spot out in the centre of the lake. But I thought, no, let's stay in here anyway. You know, there might be a couple of fish left, or they might drift in back in the night or in the morning. So I managed to get the third rod out, managed to get a bit of bait out there. Didn't spod, just used the catapult, and you know, I've got one rod quite close in, so I was able to just throw a bit of bait in, and just did things quite subtly. And as I sat down watching out for the rest of the lake behind me, I did see a couple of fish out there. At 1 minute, a swan come swimming through and started hissing at some fish down below it, and the fish just sort of bow waved a little bit. I thought, oh, they're still here. And about 10 minutes later, one went like that over the top of my bait twice. I thought, yeah, there was good fish as well. So I thought, they're still in here. I've still got a chance. I think them 6 went. So if there was about 10 or 12 fish in here, I think half of them went and half of them stayed. So that was a positive sign. Swans kicking off in the background behind me. So that was a positive sign, there was still fish here. And just on dark I saw a couple of little shows and I thought, was that tench or is that one of the stockies they put in? Went to bed quite early because I've been getting up at dawn most mornings. So I went to bed about 11 o'clock. And about half 11 the middle rod was away. Just tightened up and dropped all the way back. So I quickly picked it up. I had a lot of slack line. I could tell there was something there, but there was a lot of slack. So I winded and finally got in touch with it. But it just didn't feel like a big fish at all. It was just darting around, and when it went on runs, it was just no real power there. And ended up landing one of the stockies at about £9. I think 9 went in all, so I landed one of them. Got the rod back out in the night, and then at 3:30 this morning, it was starting to get light. Same rod was away again. Similar sort of fight, just dogging around, no real power when it went and no real weight to it. And the hook pulled basically just down in the margin here as it tried to surge off. And I'm 100% sure it was a stockie. So that's 2 stockies. Got the rod back out and I crossed the line of the left-hand rod, so I got that one back out as well. Just watched the sun come up and watched the mist dancing on the surface. And it was a glorious morning this morning. Quite a pretty little lake. This corner is absolutely stunning when the mists are crossing. It's flat calm and it's quite green. And it was quite nice to watch it. And then I crashed out. I grabbed a couple of hours sleep at about 7 o'clock. So I grabbed another probably hour and a half sleep, and then the middle rod, I had a bit of a liner on it. Just went up 2 beeps and then slowly come back 2 beeps. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Because all the time at dawn I was watching the surface, I was watching for shows, I was watching for just bowways and seeing absolutely nothing. So for that trapping at 9:30, I thought, oh, that's something moving through. Hopefully it's a carp, could have been a pike, could have been a few tench or whatever else, but it showed a bit of promise. I sat watching the water for a bit, got the laptop out doing a little bit of work, but still keeping it half an hour in the water to see if still fishing there. Saw absolutely nothing. And then the left-hand rod, just bobbing at the top, just went cranking around. This was about 10:30. Picks into it, and as soon as I picked up the rod, I could feel it was a decent fish. It wasn't a stockie. It was one of the originals straight away. Just feeling a dead heavy weight and just mooching up and down. Slowly gained a bit of line, then it shot down me right-hand margin there, and there's some nasty snags down there, so I had to give it a lot of side strain to get it away from the snags. And it rolled on the surface, and I saw it was a good mirror, which was a surprise because a lot of the big fish in here are commons. And eventually, after 2 or 3 minutes of it charging up and down the margin, I managed to slip the net under it, and I was really, really pleased because it was one I hadn't caught before, so I was a bit blown away. We'll take a look at this one. Really happy with this. On a return to an old syndicate I used to fish years ago, and this is one of the few fish I haven't had. Used to be the biggest mirror, but I think it's been overtaken now by another one. But still happy. A couple of ounces under 37. Fish called Roly Poly. Happy days. Well, I was really, really pleased with that fish. It looked absolutely stunning. It was almost black, just a few scales near its tail, and a proper mirror. It came in just under 37, 36.14, I think it was. And it's a great way to christen the new rods. Well, I say sort of christen the new rods. I suppose I christened them really with a 9-pounder, but I'm using the Inspire 3 1/4. I have been using the 13-foot versions a little bit recently, but it's a little overgunned for here because the furthest chuck's about 100 yards, and I can do 100 yards with these rods using fluorocarbon and still feel I could go slightly further if needs must. So I've dropped down to these rods because they really are a nice play in action, as that fish proved. So I'm really pleased that I've christened them with a good fish, and I was blown away to get one of the 5 fish I haven't caught. It was a sort of fantastic almost end to the session. I've probably got a couple of hours fishing left. But even if I don't get another one, I'm still really, really happy with Roly Poly at 37 or just under 37, and it's a fantastic way to turn what probably would have been a blank around with a cracking 37 on a last-minute move. So, yeah, really pleased. Well, they're getting bigger. I wasn't expecting another fish after that 37. But this one came along. Nice common, 39-pound on the nose, cracking fish. I normally like my commons a bit darker than this, but hey ho, I'll take them as they come. I think this one's got a little bit of ghosty in it, but it's not a bad fish all in all, and it put up a bit of a battle. In fact, if it has got ghost in it, I think it might be my biggest ghosty. But happy to be catching. Oh, and it's a new one as well, which is even better. So that's 5 fish at the start of this session I need to catch, and I've now caught 2 of them. 3 more left. Well, I've had to jump out of the swim pretty sharpish because someone was waiting to move in behind me, and I was getting pretty close to the 72-hour limit on the water. So I've packed up, got all my kit out there, and left to reflect on the session. And I'm quite pleased to catch that 39, and a little bit surprised as well, to be honest. But I probably shouldn't have been, because there were 4 fish in the swim. About an hour before I caught it, I got up one of the trees and I was looking down. I can see pretty much the whole bay where I was fishing, and there were 4 fish in there. There were 2, probably mid-20s, maybe upper 20s. There was the fish I caught, even though I didn't think it was the fish I caught. I thought it was another fish that was out about 2 weeks ago at 36. And then there was another fish that was bigger than that, about 3 or 4 pound bigger than that, as I estimated. And that was the big mirror. I said roller poly used to be the big fish, and then one overtook it. Well, the one that overtook it was in the bay. So I was kind of crossing my fingers for the 2 biggest mirrors out of the lake, but that didn't happen. The positive thing was that the mirror was quite a bit bigger than the common. I just assumed it was a different fish, so I assumed it was 4 pound bigger. So that mirror could be 42, 43. So that'll be interesting when that fish comes out. But all in all, I was really pleased with how the session went, and how things have changed around from a change in tack of the bait and weight situation in the centre of the lake to moving on to fish and trying to keep things a little bit stealthier, and the rig change and everything else. So from blanking for 7 nights, which is 150 odd hours, if not more than 150 hours, to having 4 bites in 18 hours is one hell of a result. So really pleased with how it went. Blown away by the 37. That's an awesome fish, really like that. And the 39 at the end was a nice icing on the cake. So yeah, good little session.